The emergency lights flashed red across the Galactic Council chamber. Kangde stood at the back of the massive room, watching the alien representatives argue with each other. His hands were sweating. This was his first real crisis since Earth had joined the Council 3 months ago. "The mining colony is lost," shouted Representative Thelvraxi, his blue scales turning darker with stress. "The Vakri pirates have 20 warships. Our colony only has 6 defense ships." The hologram in the center of the room showed the attack. Kangde could see the small mining colony of Kethros 7 surrounded by enemy vessels. Red dots representing pirate ships moved closer to the green dot of the colony. It looked bad. Counselor Vextra, the senior member, waved one of her forearms dismissively. "We have dealt with the Vakri before. Send our second fleet. They will handle this easily." "But Counselor," another representative said nervously, "the Vakri have never attacked with this many ships before. Something is different this time." Vextra's eyes narrowed. "Are you questioning my judgment? I have served this council for 40 cycles. The Vakri are cowards who prey on weak targets. Once they see real military power, they will run away like they always do." Kangde raised his hand slowly. His heart was pounding. Everyone turned to look at him. Most of the aliens in the room barely noticed humans. Earth was new to galactic society. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 90 years ago. To these ancient civilizations, humans were like children. "Yes, Ambassador Kangde," Vextra said, with barely hidden annoyance. "Do you have something to add?" Kangde cleared his throat. "I was thinking, Earth's defense fleet is not far from that sector. We could send a message, ask if they can help." The room fell silent. Then someone laughed. It was a harsh clicking sound. Soon others joined in. Even the normally serious Thelvraxi let out a small chuckle. Vextra smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "You are new here, so perhaps you do not understand. Humanity comes from what we call a Class 12 death world. Your planet is barely survivable. High gravity, poisonous atmosphere, extreme weather, dangerous predators. Most species would die on Earth within days." "I know, but—" Kangde started. "Let me finish," Vextra continued. "You survived your world through luck and stubbornness, but survival and warfare are very different things. Your ships are crude, your weapons are primitive, you use solid metal projectiles in space combat. Can you imagine?" More laughter filled the room. Another counselor added, "And your technology is generations behind ours. You only just learned to create artificial gravity. You still use chemical rockets for planetary launches. What could you possibly offer against the Vakri?" Kangde felt his face grow hot. He wanted to argue, but he had no proof. Earth's military was strong by human standards, but compared to civilizations that had been exploring space for thousands of years. Maybe they were right. "I just thought," he tried again. "We appreciate your enthusiasm," Vextra said, not sounding appreciative at all. "But this is a matter for experienced civilizations. The second fleet will depart within the hour." This discussion is over. The hologram changed to show the Council's fleet. Kangde had to admit they looked impressive. Sleek ships with advanced shields and energy weapons. Each vessel was 3 times the size of Earth's largest warship. The second fleet had 30 ships total. Surely that would be enough. The meeting ended. Kangde walked back to his small office feeling frustrated and embarrassed. The other ambassadors had laughed at him, at Earth, at humanity. He sat down at his desk and stared at the star map on his screen. His communication device beeped. It was a priority message from the colony. Someone had sent it directly to him, bypassing the Council's official channels. Kangde opened it. A human face appeared. She looked tired and scared. "This is Gina, Colony Director of Kethros 7. I don't know if this message will reach anyone, but I have to try. We have 800 people here, humans, Zentari, Klaxon, and others. The Vakri are not just attacking, they're playing with us, shooting our ships but not destroying them completely. They want us to suffer." The image shook as an explosion happened nearby. "Our defense ships are almost gone. The Council's regular fleet couldn't stop them. Please, if anyone receives this, we need help. We don't have much time." The message ended. Kangdae played it again. And again. Gina's words echoed in his mind. We need help. He looked at his communication console. He knew what he should do. Follow the Council's decision. Trust that the Second Fleet would handle it. That was the proper diplomatic thing to do. But he also remembered something his grandfather had told him. His grandfather had been a soldier during Earth's resource wars. When someone needs help, you help them. You don't wait for permission. You don't worry about consequences, you just act. Kangdae's fingers moved across the console. He opened a secure channel to Earth's Defense Command. It took a few minutes to connect. When the screen finally cleared, he saw Admiral Yun Ho's face. Ambassador Kangdae, the Admiral said, surprised. This is not a scheduled communication. Is something wrong? Admiral, I need to send you information about an emergency situation. A colony is under attack. The Council is handling it, but... Kangdae hesitated. If he did this, his career was probably over. The Council would be furious that he went behind their backs. But what? Yun Ho asked. Kangdae made his decision. But I don't think they understand how bad it is. I'm sending you all the data. Please, just look at it. That's all I ask. He uploaded everything. The attack patterns, the colony's distress call, the Valkyrie fleet composition. Everything. Yun Ho was quiet for a moment, reading the information. His expression grew serious. This is bad. These pirates are using advanced tactics. And you say the Council already sent a fleet? Yes, sir. The Second Fleet, 30 ships. That might not be enough, Yun Ho said quietly. Send me your secured channel information. If we need to respond, we'll need a way to coordinate. Admiral, the Council didn't officially request help. If Earth intervenes, it could cause political problems. Yun Ho looked directly at the camera. There are 800 civilians about to die. I'll worry about politics later. Yun Ho out. The screen went dark. Kangdae sat back in his chair. He had just disobeyed the Galactic Council. He had gone against Counselor Vextra's direct orders. His career as a diplomat was probably finished. But somewhere in deep space, people needed help. And now Earth knew about it. Kangdae looked at the star map again. The colony was 3 days away at maximum speed. The Council's Second Fleet would arrive in less than 1 day. Maybe everything would be fine. Maybe the Council was right and the Valkyrie would run away. He hoped so, because if they were wrong, a lot of people were going to die. His communication device beeped again. Another message from the colony. Kangdae opened it with shaking hands. He saw explosions in the background and heard screaming. Then the message cut off completely. Kangdae stared at the blank screen. Please let them be okay, he whispered to the empty room. Please let someone get there in time. Gina ran through the corridor as another explosion shook the colony. Dust fell from the ceiling. The emergency lights flickered. Behind her, people were screaming and crying. She wanted to stop and help them, but she had a job to do. Director, someone called. It was Tai Yang, the head of security. He was carrying a young Zentari child in his arms. The child's mother ran beside him, her face covered in blue blood. The eastern section is completely gone. Hull breach on levels 5 through 8. Gina checked her tablet. The damaged display looked like someone had taken a bite out of the colony structure. 30 people had been in that section. Now there were only 17 life signs. Seal it off, she ordered. We can't save everyone. Focus on getting people to the central shelter. Tae Yang nodded and handed the child to its mother. Get to shelter now. Follow the green lights. He turned back to Gina. The defense ships? 3 left, Gina said quietly. Out of 6, and they're all damaged. Tae Yang had been a Marine before retiring to colony work. Gina saw his jaw tighten. He knew what those numbers meant. How long until the Council fleet arrives? 6 hours, maybe less. We won't last 6 hours, Tae Yang said. He wasn't being negative, just honest. The Valkyrie are playing with us. They could destroy us completely right now if they wanted to. They're enjoying this. Gina felt sick. He was right. The pirate ships would fire, damage something important. Then back off? Let the colonists panic and run around trying to fix things. Then they would attack again. It was cruel, like a cat playing with a mouse before killing it. What do we have for weapons? She asked. Mining lasers, plasma cutters, some emergency firearms that probably won't even scratch their shields. Tae Yang pulled up a schematic on his own tablet. But I have an idea. The main plasma cutter in the industrial bay. It's designed to cut through asteroids. If we can mount it on a rotating platform and connect it to the colony's power grid. A weapon, Gina finished. Can you do it? Give me 4 people in 2 hours. You have 3 people in 1 hour, Gina said. That's all we can spare. Tae Yang ran toward the industrial bay. Gina continued to the command center. When she got there, the situation looked even worse. The main screen showed the Valkyrie ships, 20 of them, circling the colony like sharks. Another message coming in, said the communications officer, a young human named Dongmin. They want to talk. Put it on screen. A face appeared. It wasn't human or anything like human. The Valkyrie looked like someone had crossed a lizard with an insect and then made it angry. Warlord Crickstar smiled, showing teeth meant for tearing meat. Little colony, Crickstar said in broken galactic standard. You fight well, for prey, but now you bore us. Surrender, and we kill you quick. Fight more, and we make it slow. Choose. Gina forced herself to speak calmly. The Galactic Council is sending ships. If you leave now, they might not chase you. Crickstar laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. Council ships are weak. Beautiful ships. Pretty ships. Easy to break. We have broken many council ships. You think we fear more? The communication cut off. Another blast hit the colony. Gina grabbed the console to keep from falling. More red lights appeared on the damaged display. Southern docking bay is gone, someone shouted. Life support is failing in the residential quarter. Fire in the medical center. Gina made decisions as fast as she could. Reroute power here. Evacuate that section. Seal this corridor. But for every problem they fixed, 2 more appeared. They were losing. 4 hours later, Tai Yang's makeshift weapon was ready. It looked ridiculous. A giant industrial plasma cutter welded to a rotating platform, powered by thick cables running directly to the colony's main reactor. But when they tested it, the beam cut through a piece of scrap metal like it was paper. It has no range, Tae Yang admitted. Only works if they get close. Maybe 2 kilometers maximum. And it drains so much power that half the colony will go dark when we fire it. It's better than nothing, Gina said. They didn't have to wait long. One of the Valkyrie ships, smaller than the others, moved closer. Maybe the pirates were getting bored. Maybe they wanted to finish the game. Fire, Gina ordered. The plasma beam shot out. It was bright blue and incredibly hot. It hit the Valkyrie ship's shield. The shield held for 3 seconds. Then it failed. The beam cut into the ship's hull. The ship tried to turn away, but Taeyang kept the beam locked on target. The Valkyrie ship exploded. For a moment, everyone in the command center cheered. They had killed one of the attackers. But then the other 19 ships all turned toward the colony at once. Oh no, Dongmin whispered. The Valkyrie opened fire together. Not playing anymore. Not taking their time. Every ship firing everything they had. The colony's shields lasted 10 seconds. After that, the attacks hit the structure directly. Explosions ripped through multiple sections. The whole colony shook like it was in an earthquake. Hull breaches everywhere, someone screamed. We've lost 40% of the structure. Life support is critical, Gina held onto her console. On the screen, she could see their 3 remaining defense ships trying to help. They were so small compared to the Valkyrie fleet, like children fighting adults. This is Director Gina to all colonists, she said into the colony-wide communication system. Get to the central shelter immediately. Abandon all other sections. This is not a drill. Get to shelter now. Tae Yang looked at her. That's only enough space for 300 people. We have over 700 still alive. I know, Gina said quietly. Then Dongmin jumped up from his station. The council fleet. They're here. On the screen, 30 new ships appeared. beautiful vessels with elegant designs and powerful weapons. The Council's second fleet had arrived. "We're saved," someone said. "Send them the attack patterns," Gina ordered. "Show them everything we know about the Valkyrie tactics." The Council ships moved into formation. It was impressive to watch. They moved like they were dancing, each ship in perfect position. They opened fire on the Valkyrie with beam weapons that looked like solid light. Several Valkyrie ships took hits. Their shields flickered. The pirates started to pull back. Then everything changed. The largest Valkyrie ship, their dreadnought, moved forward. It was huge, twice the size of any Council ship. Strange energy built up around it. Then it released a pulse. The pulse spread out in all directions. When it hit the Council ships, they went dark. All of them. All 30 ships just stopped moving. Their lights went out. Their weapons stopped firing. They just drifted in space. "What happened?" Taeyang demanded. "Electromagnetic pulse," Dongmin said, his voice shaking. "It shut down all their systems." The Valkyrie ships moved in. They started destroying the helpless Council vessels one by one. It was a slaughter. The elegant Council ships couldn't fight back. They couldn't even run away. They were just targets. Gina watched in horror. The Council had sent their fleet to save the colony. Instead, the fleet was being destroyed. One Council ship managed to get its systems back online. It tried to retreat. A message came through. It was Admiral Hei Wan, the fleet commander. She looked terrified. "To any vessel in range," Hei Wan said, "the Valkyrie have prepared for us. They know all our tactics. They have weapons specifically designed to counter our technology. We have failed. Kethros 7 will fall. May the Void have mercy on—" The transmission cut off as her ship exploded. Silence filled the command center. The Council fleet was gone. All 30 ships destroyed or disabled in less than 30 minutes. The Valkyrie turned their attention back to the colony. "Everyone to the shelter," Gina said. "Now." "What about the people who won't fit?" someone asked. Gina didn't have an answer. She just started walking toward the shelter. Taeyang walked beside her. "We're not going to make it, are we?" he said. "No," Gina admitted. "We're not. At least we tried." They reached the shelter. People were cramming inside, families holding each other, children crying, aliens and humans mixed together, all equally terrified. Gina was about to seal the door when Dongmin came running. "Director, there's something on long-range sensors. Ships. A lot of ships." "More Valkyrie?" "No," Dongmin said, showing her his tablet. "The identification codes. They're human. It's Earth's fleet." Gina looked at the sensor data. 70 ships were approaching at maximum speed. They would arrive in 30 minutes. But they had no way to know what they were flying into. They didn't know about the electromagnetic pulse weapon. They didn't know that the Council fleet had already failed. They were coming to help, and they were probably going to die too. Admiral Yunho stood in the operations room of Earth Defense Command. Around him, screens showed star maps, ship positions, and the data Kang Dae had sent. He had been studying it for 2 hours. The news kept getting worse. "The Council's second fleet just went dark," reported Commander Jin Woo. He was in charge of special operations. "All 30 ships, no signals, no communications, either completely destroyed or disabled." "Time since the attack?" Yunho asked. 18 minutes. Yunho felt his stomach tighten. 30 advanced warships destroyed in less than half an hour. The Valkyrie were not ordinary pirates. This was something else. "Show me the colony data again," he ordered. The main screen displayed Kethros 7, a mining colony with 800 civilians. Now probably fewer. The station was heavily damaged. Maybe a few hours left before complete destruction. "We could get there in time," said Captain Solbin. She had just arrived from her ship, the battle carrier Indomitable. Her uniform was still dusty from inspection work. "If we leave now and push the engines hard, 3 days maximum." "The Council never officially requested our help," said a diplomatic officer. "If we intervene without permission, it could be seen as aggression. We could lose our seat on the Council." "There are people dying," Solbin said flatly. "I understand that, Captain. But we must consider the political consequences. People are dying right now, Solbin repeated, her voice harder. Since when do we need permission to help people in trouble? Yunho raised his hand for silence. Give me tactical analysis. What are we facing? Jinwoo pulled up a hologram. It showed the Valkyrie fleet. 20 ships, mostly medium cruisers. 1 dreadnought-class vessel. That's the one that took out the Council fleet. It has some kind of electromagnetic pulse weapon. Can our ships survive that? Yunho asked. Unknown, Jinwoo admitted. Our systems are less sophisticated than the Council's, more redundant. We have manual backups for almost everything. It might help, or it might not. Not good enough. I need certainty. Admiral, in war there is no certainty, Jinwoo said. But I can tell you this. Our ships are built differently. Council vessels have one elegant solution for each system. We build 5 crude solutions. If one fails, we have backups. A communications officer interrupted. Admiral, we just received another message from Ambassador Kangdae. He says the Council is preparing charges against him for unauthorized contact with Earth's military. They're worried about procedure while a colony dies, Solbin muttered. Yunho looked at the star map again. 3 days' travel. 800 civilians. A heavily armed pirate fleet that had just destroyed 30 advanced warships. What's our fleet composition? He asked. Third fleet is closest, Jinwoo said. 70 ships total. 20 battle carriers, 30 destroyers, 15 heavy cruisers, 5 assault carriers. Plus the special operations teams on my ships. 70 against 20. Sounds good? Except their ships are larger and they have that pulse weapon, Jinwoo reminded him. We could be flying into a slaughter. Yunho turned to Solbin. Your honest opinion, Captain. Can we win this? Solbin studied the tactical display. The Council ships fought at long range, used energy weapons, and tried to disable rather than destroy. That's not how we fight. Meaning? Meaning we get close. We use kinetic weapons. We board their ships. We fight dirty. Solbin met his eyes. We're Deathworlders, Admiral. We don't fight like civilized species. We fight to survive. That gives us an advantage. It also gets people killed, Yunho said quietly. Yes, sir. It does. The room was silent. Everyone waited for the Admiral's decision. Yunho thought about the diplomatic consequences. Earth could lose its place in the Galactic Council. They could be sanctioned, isolated. All the progress they had made in the last century could disappear. But he also thought about his grandson, 8 years old, always asking questions about space and aliens and adventure. What kind of galaxy did Yunho want him to grow up in? One where people ignored distress calls because of politics? Prep the third fleet, Yunho ordered. We launch in 2 hours. Sir, the Council, the diplomatic officer started. Can punish us later if they want, Yunho finished. Send orders to all ships, dark running, no transponders, no identification signals. If anyone asks, we're conducting training exercises. Solbin smiled. Who should command the fleet? You will, Yunho said. I'm putting you in tactical command. Jinwoo, your special forces teams are authorized for boarding actions. Standard rules of engagement are suspended. Do whatever you need to do. Jinwoo nodded. Understood. What about weapons protocols? Asked the weapons officer. Everything is authorized, Yunho said. Nuclear missiles, kinetic bombardment, chemical weapons if necessary. I want those pirates eliminated. The weapons officer looked surprised. Sir, the Council has treaties against several of those weapons. The Council just lost 30 ships. I don't think they're in a position to complain about how we saved that colony. Yunho pulled up the personnel files. Casualty estimates? Assuming they have that pulse weapon, Jinwoo calculated, we could lose 30 to 40% of the fleet, maybe 4,000 personnel. 4,000 people. Yunho felt the weight of that number. 4,000 soldiers who would never go home. 4,000 families who would lose loved ones. But 800 civilians who would definitely die if Earth did nothing. Proceed with launch preparations, he ordered. Dismissed. Everyone left except Solbin. She waited until the room was empty. "This could end your career," she said quietly. "The council will be furious." "Probably," Yunho agreed. "But I can live with that. I can't live with ignoring a distress call." "Is that the Deathworlder in you talking?" Solbin asked with a slight smile. "Maybe. Or maybe it's just being human." Yunho looked at the star map one more time. 3 days. Can you keep the fleet together at maximum speed? "We'll make it," Solbin promised. "The ships might not like it, but we'll make it." She turned to leave, then paused. "Admiral, thank you for making the right choice." After she left, Yunho sat alone in the operations room. He pulled up the message from Gina one more time, watched her tired, scared face, heard her plea for help. His communication console beeped. It was a direct line. Kang Dae's face appeared. "Admiral, I heard the Third Fleet is mobilizing. Is that because of my message?" "Officially, we're conducting training exercises," Yunho said carefully. "Unofficially, yes, we're coming." Kang Dae looked relieved and terrified at the same time. "The council is going to be very angry. Let them be angry. How are you doing?" "They've suspended me. I'm confined to my quarters until the tribunal." Kang Dae smiled weakly. "At least I have a good view of space from here." "You did the right thing," Yunho said. "Don't let them make you doubt that." "Will we get there in time?" "I don't know," Yunho admitted. "But we're going to try. That's what Deathworlders do. We try." The communication ended. Yunho sat in the quiet room for a few more minutes. Then he began recording a message. It would only be sent if he didn't come back. "To the families of the Third Fleet," he began. "If you're watching this, it means our mission did not succeed. Your loved ones died trying to save 800 civilians who needed help. They died because when someone calls for help, we answer. No matter the cost, no matter the distance. That's who we are. That's what it means to be human." On the far side of Earth, 70 warships powered up their engines. Crew members said goodbye to families. Engineers did final checks. Weapons were loaded. Fighters were prepped. Captain Solbin stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. Around her, her crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were professionals. Many had seen combat during Earth's resource wars. They knew what they were flying into. "All ships report ready," said her first officer. "Then let's go save some lives," Solbin said. "All ships, jump on my mark. 3, 2, 1, jump." Space twisted. The 70 ships of Earth's Third Fleet vanished, racing toward a distant colony and an enemy that had just destroyed the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. In her private quarters, Solbin recorded her own message to her daughter back on Earth. "If you're seeing this, I didn't come home. I'm sorry. But I need you to understand something. We got a call for help. People were dying. And we went. Because that's what we do. That's what Deathworlders do. We don't run from hard choices. We face them." She paused, thinking about what else to say. "Your mom loves you. More than anything. But sometimes love means doing the hard thing, the dangerous thing. Because the alternative is living with the guilt of not trying." She ended the recording and went back to the bridge. 3 days until they reached the colony. 3 days to prepare for the fight of their lives. Around her, the crew worked in silence. They all knew the stakes. They all knew the risks. But not one of them had refused to go. Because they were human, and humans answered distress calls, even if it killed them. Warlord Krikstar was enjoying himself. The colony was almost finished. A few more hours and it would be completely destroyed. His ships had hunted down the last council survivors. Escape pods made such easy targets. "Warlord," his sensor officer said, "we have new contacts, 70 ships entering the system." Krikstar barely looked up. "More council ships? They never learn." "No, Warlord. The identification codes are different. Unknown." That got Krikstar's attention. "Show me." The sensor display appeared. 70 ships were moving toward them, but these ships looked wrong. They weren't elegant like council vessels. They were blocky, ugly, covered in armor plating and weapon mounts. "What species?" Krikstar demanded. "According to our database, human, from Earth." Crickstar laughed. The Deathworlders? The primitives? What do they think they can do? Should we engage? Wait. Let them come closer. I want them to see what we did to the Council fleet. Maybe they will surrender without a fight. But the human ships didn't slow down. They moved into a formation Crickstar had never seen before. A sphere. Every ship facing outward. Weapons pointing in all directions. A message came through on all frequencies. Crickstar opened it. A human female appeared on screen. She wore a dark uniform with strange symbols. Her face was calm. Valkyrie vessels, this is Captain Solbin of the United Earthship Indomitable. You have attacked a civilian colony. You have destroyed vessels responding to their defense. By the laws of war recognized on Earth, you are guilty of piracy and murder. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Crickstar burst out laughing. Did she just threaten us? Us? He opened his own communication. Little human, do you see the wreckage around you? That was the Council's second fleet. 30 advanced warships. We destroyed them in minutes. What makes you think you can do better? Solbin's expression didn't change. The Council fought you with elegance. We're going to fight you with violence. Last warning, surrender or be destroyed. Activate the pulse weapon, Crickstar ordered. Let's show these primitives what real technology looks like. The Dreadnought's pulse weapon charged up. Energy built around the massive ship. Then it released. The electromagnetic pulse spread out in a wave. It hit the human fleet. The ships flickered. Their lights dimmed. For a moment, Crickstar thought it had worked. Then the human ships stabilized. Their lights came back on. Their weapons remained active. What? Crickstar stared at the display. How? They're still functional, his sensor officer reported. The pulse damaged their external systems, but their primary functions are intact. How is that possible? On the screen, Solbin smiled. It was not a friendly smile. We're Deathworlders. We don't build elegant ships. We build ships that survive. Warning acknowledged. Hostile action confirmed. Rules of engagement. Weapons free. She paused, and her smile disappeared. Remember this. We take no pride in what comes next. The human fleet opened fire. But they didn't use energy weapons like the Council. They fired solid metal slugs, thousands of them. Simple projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. The Valkyrie shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did almost nothing against solid metal. The slugs punched through shields and tore into hulls. 3 Valkyrie ships exploded immediately. "Return fire!" Crickstar screamed. The Valkyrie fleet engaged. Energy beams lashed out, missiles launched. The space between the two fleets filled with weapons fire. Human ships took hits. Their shields failed. Their armor got torn. But they kept coming. They didn't slow down or try to retreat. They just kept pushing forward. One human destroyer lost its entire front section. It should have retreated for repairs. Instead, it accelerated toward a Valkyrie cruiser. "That ship is damaged," the sensor officer said. "Why is it still attacking?" The destroyer rammed the Valkyrie cruiser at full speed. Both ships exploded in a massive fireball. Crickstar felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear. "They're insane," he whispered. Another human ship, its engines failing, drifted toward a Valkyrie vessel. It launched all its remaining missiles at point-blank range. The explosion destroyed both ships. The human fleet wasn't fighting like a military. They were fighting like cornered animals. Desperate. Vicious. Willing to trade their lives for kills. "Hull breach on Deck 7, someone shouted in Crickstar's ship. "What? How? They're not even near us yet." "Human boarding teams. They breached the hull with explosives and came in through the hole." Crickstar pulled up the internal cameras. He saw humans in powered armor moving through his ship. They carried primitive projectile weapons. But in the tight corridors, those weapons were deadly. His crew tried to stop them, energy weapons at close range, but the human armor was thick. And the humans were fast. They moved like predators, like they were born for this kind of fighting. "All units repel boarders," Crickstar ordered. The fighting spread through his ship, deck by deck, corridor by corridor. It was brutal and savage. Nothing like the clean, distant warfare of space combat. Outside, the battle continued. Human ships surrounded a Valkyrie cruiser. They all fired at once. The cruiser's shields collapsed. Its hull split open. Atmosphere vented into space along with bodies. Captain Solbin watched from her bridge. Her ship had taken multiple hits. They had lost 20% of their crew, but they were winning. "Target their dreadnought," she ordered. "All ships focus fire." "Ma'am, that ship is massive. It would take everything we have to bring it down." "Then we use everything we have," Solbin said calmly. "All ships, weapons free on the dreadnought. Nuclear missiles authorized." "Nuclear? Ma'am, the Council treaties—" "The Council is not here. Those pirates are. Fire." 20 human ships launched nuclear missiles at the Valkyrie dreadnought. The Valkyrie tried to shoot them down. They destroyed most of them, but 3 got through. The nuclear explosions bloomed in space, bright and terrible. The dreadnought's shields held for the first detonation, flickered on the second, failed on the third. With the shields down, the human fleet poured conventional fire into the massive ship. Kinetic projectiles, missiles, everything they had. Inside the dreadnought, Crickstar held onto his command chair as his ship shook. "Status: hull integrity critical, weapons offline, life support failing. Retreat. Signal all ships to retreat." But it was too late. The human boarding teams had reached the engine room. They planted explosives on the reactor core. Commander Jin Woo, leading the boarding team, checked his timer. "Charges set. 30 seconds to extraction. Move." His team ran through the corridors. Behind them, Valkyrie crew members tried to stop them. Jin Woo's team fired their weapons without stopping. Several humans fell, but the rest kept running. They reached their insertion point, the hole they had blown in the hull earlier. Space was visible beyond it. "Jump," Jin Woo ordered. The team jumped out into space. Their suits had small thrusters. They fired them, pushing away from the dreadnought. The reactor exploded. The massive ship broke apart. Pieces flew in all directions. One piece nearly hit Jin Woo. His thrusters burned, pushing him out of the way at the last second. "Extraction team, this is Jin Woo. We need pickup, now." A human assault carrier moved close. Its bay doors opened. The boarding team flew inside. Jin Woo pulled off his helmet. His face was covered in sweat and blood. "How many teams did we lose?" "3, reported the ship's captain. "Total casualties from all boarding actions. 212 dead, 91 wounded." Jin Woo closed his eyes. 212 soldiers gone, but the dreadnought was destroyed. Outside, the remaining Valkyrie ships tried to escape, but the human fleet pursued them. No mercy, no prisoners. They hunted down each pirate ship and destroyed it. It took 4 hours. When it was over, the Valkyrie fleet was completely gone. Not disabled, not captured, destroyed. Every ship, every crew member. The human fleet, by contrast, had lost 26 ships. Over 4,000 dead. Another 3,000 wounded. Solbin sat on her bridge, exhausted. Around her, her crew slumped in their stations. They had won, but it didn't feel like victory. "Captain," her communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving a message from the colony." "Put it through." Gina's face appeared. She looked like she had aged 10 years. "Captain Solbin, thank you. You saved us. All of us." "How many survivors?" Solbin asked. 643. "We lost 157 before you arrived." Solbin nodded. "Numbers. Everything came down to numbers. 643 saved. 157 dead in the colony. 4,000 dead in the fleet." "We're sending rescue teams," Solbin said. "Hold on a little longer." The communication ended. Solbin stood up. "All ships, begin rescue operations. Search for survivors from both the Council fleet and our own ships. I want every escape pod recovered, every life sign investigated." Her first officer looked worried. "Captain, regulations say we should return to Earth for debriefing." "Regulations can wait," Solbin said. "We came here to save lives. Let's finish the job." Over the next 12 hours, the human fleet searched the debris field. They found 37 survivors from the Council fleet. They recovered escape pods from their own damaged ships. They also found the bodies, hundreds of them, floating in space, each one someone's child, parent, sibling, friend. Solbin visited the medical bay, rows of wounded soldiers. The doctors moved between them, doing what they could. She stopped at one bed. A young soldier couldn't be more than 20. His leg was gone. He was unconscious, but alive. "Will he make it?" Solbin asked the doctor. "Probably, but he'll never walk normally again." Solbin put her hand on the soldier's shoulder. "You did good," she whispered. "You saved hundreds of lives. Be proud." She made her way back to the bridge. As she walked, she passed a window looking out into space. She could see the debris field, pieces of ships, both Valkyrie and human. This was what war looked like, not glorious, not clean. Just destruction and death and people who would never go home. But the colony was safe. 643 people would live because the Third Fleet came when they called for help. Solbin returned to her command chair. "Set course for the colony. Let's go meet the people we saved." The fleet moved slowly toward Kethros 7. Behind them, the debris field drifted in the darkness. A monument to the day the Deathworlders answered an SOS signal and showed the galaxy what that really meant. The Galactic Council chamber was completely silent. Every representative watched the battle recording. They had seen it 3 times already, but they still couldn't quite believe it. On the screen, human ships rammed Valkyrie vessels. Boarding teams blew holes in enemy hulls and fought in hand-to-hand combat. Nuclear missiles detonated in space. It was brutal, savage. Nothing like how civilized species fought wars. Counselor Vextra finally spoke. They destroyed the entire Valkyrie fleet, 20 warships, gone, in 4 hours. They lost 26 of their own ships, another counselor noted. Over 4,000 dead. What kind of species accepts casualties like that? "Deathworlders," Thelvraxi said quietly. "We called them primitives. We mocked them, and they did what we could not do." Kangday stood at the back of the chamber. He was still officially suspended, but they had allowed him to attend this emergency session. Vextra turned to him. "Ambassador Kangday, you contacted Earth's military without authorization. You violated council protocols. You acted against direct orders." Kangday stood straight. "Yes, Counselor, I did all of that." "Why?" "Because 643 civilians needed help. And I knew Earth would answer." "You risked a diplomatic incident. You could have started a war." "I risked my career," Kangday corrected. "But civilians were dying. That seemed more important than my job." Vextra studied him for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she nodded. "You were right. I was wrong. The Council was wrong. We underestimated humanity. We thought Deathworld origins meant primitive thinking. We forgot that to survive a Deathworld, you must be strong, clever, willing to do what others will not." She stood up. "The charges against Ambassador Kangday are dismissed. Furthermore, I propose we send an official message to Earth, thanking them, and apologizing for our arrogance." The vote was unanimous. On Kethros 7, Captain Solbin walked through the damaged colony. Gina and Tai Yang accompanied her. Around them, repair crews worked, both human and alien. The colony would survive. It would take months to fully repair, but it would survive. "How long until your fleet returns to Earth?" Gina asked. 2 days, Solbin said. "We need to get our wounded home, and our dead." They passed a memorial wall. Names were being added. 157 colonists who had died, and the names of the 4,000 human soldiers who had died saving them. A young Zentari child stood in front of the wall. Her blue skin was darker than normal, a sign of sadness in her species. She was reading the names. Solbin knelt beside her. "Did you know someone on this wall?" The child nodded. "My father. He was in the eastern section when it was destroyed, and..." She pointed at the human names. "All of them. They died to save me. To save all of us." "They did their duty," Solbin said gently. "Why?" the child asked. "Why would they die for us? We're not human. We're not their family. Solbin didn't have an easy answer. Because when someone needs help, we help them. That's what being human means. But so many died. Yes, they did. Solbin stood up. And we will remember them. All of them. That's the least we can do. Later, Solbin met with Gina in private. The colony director looked exhausted. She had dark circles under her eyes. I can't stop thinking about the numbers, Gina said. 643 saved. 4,000 dead saving us. Was it worth it? 4,000 lives for 600? Would you ask the families of those 600 if their lives were worth saving? Solbin responded. No. But there is no but, Solbin interrupted. We don't calculate the value of life like that. We don't say these lives matter more than those lives. We just save who we can. That's all we can do. I keep seeing their faces, the soldiers who died. So do I, Solbin admitted. Every one of them. That's the price of command. You carry the weight of every death, but you also carry the weight of every life saved. Both matter. Both are real. They sat in silence for a moment. The council is sending a formal delegation, Gina said eventually, to thank you, and to discuss Earth's role in galactic defense. Solbin smiled tiredly. Of course they are. Now that they've seen what we can do, they want to use us. Like attack dogs. Is that wrong? Depends on what they're asking. If they want us to fight their wars, that's wrong. If they want us to help protect civilians, that's different. A message came through on Solbin's communicator. It was from Admiral Yunho back on Earth. Captain, I'm seeing reports from the Council. They're calling you heroes. We're not heroes, Solbin said. We're just people who answered a distress call. The whole galaxy is talking about it. The Deathworlders who destroyed the Vakri. Some species are impressed, others are scared. Scared of what? Of us? Of what we can do when pushed? Yunho paused. Solbin, Earth's role in the galaxy just changed. We're not the new species anymore. We're the dangerous ones, the unpredictable ones. How we handle this next part will define humanity's future in space. What do you want me to do? Come home, bring the fleet, bring our people. Let's figure out what comes next. The communication ended. Solbin looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth waited. Home. The following day, the Third Fleet prepared to depart. The colony's survivors lined the observation decks to watch. Hundreds of faces. Human, Zentari, Klaxon, others. All alive because Earth had answered their call. Tai Yong stood beside Solbin on the Indomitable's bridge. Think we'll be back? To this colony, maybe not. But to situations like this, definitely. Now that the galaxy knows what we can do, they'll keep calling. And we'll keep answering? What else would we do? Turn our backs when people need help? That's not who we are. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. The colony disappeared behind them. 3 days later, the Third Fleet arrived at Earth. Ships were damaged. People were wounded. But they had completed their mission. Admiral Yunho met Solbin at the landing area. He saluted her. Captain, well done. We lost 4,000 people, Admiral. I don't feel like we did well. You saved 643 civilians. You eliminated a pirate fleet that had terrorized the sector for years. You showed the galaxy that Earth keeps its promises. Yunho put his hand on her shoulder. The families of the fallen will receive full honors. Every one of them. And their names will be remembered. Is that enough? It's never enough. But it's what we have. Over the next week, Earth held memorial services. 4,000 funerals. 4,000 families grieving. The cost of answering one distress call. But in the Galactic Council, things were changing. Species that had ignored Earth now wanted alliances. Species that had dismissed humanity now sought their protection. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Counselor Vextra herself came to Earth. She stood before Admiral Yunho and Captain Solbin. The Council was wrong, she said formally. We judged you by your origins, not your character. We saw Deathworld survivors and thought you were crude, violent, uncivilized. We are violent, Yunho said honestly. We are crude. We do fight in ways that shock you. Yes, but you also answered a distress call when we failed. You saved lives we had given up for lost. You proved that strength and compassion are not opposites. Vextra bowed, something her species rarely did for others. Humanity has earned the galaxy's respect. We only hope we can earn yours. After she left, Solbin turned to Yunho. What do you think comes next? More distress calls, more battles, more difficult choices. Yunho looked up at the stars visible through the window. The galaxy knows now. When someone needs help, Earth will answer. That's both a gift and a burden. Can we handle it? We're Deathworlders, Yunho said with a slight smile. We've handled worse. Somewhere in space, Ambassador Kangde received a personal message. It was from Gina on Kethros 7. Thank you, her message said simply. Thank you for believing in humanity when others didn't. Thank you for making that call. Because of you, hundreds of us are alive. We won't forget. Kangde saved the message. He knew he would need it. The council had forgiven him, but his career would never be the same. He would always be remembered as the ambassador who defied orders. But he would also be remembered as the ambassador who saved a colony. He could live with that. Back on Kethros 7, the memorial wall grew larger. Names in multiple languages, multiple species, all honored equally. At the top, someone had added an inscription in both Galactic Standard and human languages. Here are remembered those who died defending life, the colonists who fought bravely, the council forces who tried valiantly, the Earth forces who answered when called. Different species, different worlds. One purpose: to protect those who could not protect themselves. This is the meaning of civilization. The Zentari child who had lost her father came to read it every day. She brought flowers. Sometimes other children joined her. Human children, alien children. All of them alive because someone answered a distress call. Years later, historians would debate the Battle of Kethros 7. They would analyze the tactics, study the decisions, argue about the cost and benefit. But for those who were there, the lesson was simple. When someone sends an SOS signal, you answer. No matter the distance, no matter the cost, no matter what others say. Because that's what it means to be civilized. And that's what it means to be human. The Vakri had ridiculed the SOS signal. They had mocked the idea that anyone would come to help. They learned too late that Deathworlders don't abandon those in need. They learned that Earth keeps its promises, and the galaxy would never forget. Earth.